Say it with me, for we walk by faith, not by sight.
Hey guys, welcome to Cheap Old Cars and Culture. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys about how to make driving videos fun. We love driving. If you're a car guy, you love driving. You love getting out and driving. But if you make YouTube videos, you probably know that the driving videos don't do as well, right? That's been my experience. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers have that similar experience. What it seems to be is people like to see stuff in the garage, working on cars, finding problems with cars, diagnosing stuff, figuring things out, doing detailing and fixing and all that type of stuff seems to do really well. I want to make driving footage interesting. And so I'm going to go through a lot of steps that I've used to make my footage more interesting. There's things that I haven't even done yet that I've got set up for that I'm going to be implementing into my future videos. But yeah, let's make driving videos interesting. Hopefully, if you're trying to make some driving videos, you can learn something from me. The first thing, let's look at camera placement and how to put camera stuff on cars. If you get through that section, the next section will be my gear, what I have, things that I have that maybe track me a little bit, which are kind of fun. So you can see how I'm putting stuff on the cars. You can see the gear I'm running, and then I'll show you at the end some future gear and some alternative gear to what I have that maybe might even be a little bit better priced. Okay, filming in the garage today, guys, because if I open that door, it'll drop 30 degrees, because it's like 28 degrees outside and sleeting, which is really weird for early December Arkansas. It's typically upper 50s, low 60s here still. I mean, we have Christmas in the 50s a lot of times. We have Christmas in the 60-degree range sometimes. So this is odd. It's more like a little further north. We're dealing with it. Cameras on cars. How do you place them? What do you do? Okay, there's lots of different things you can do, and we're going to show you here using these cameras. So first, let's kind of show some outside stuff, right? So what I like to do on the outside of the car, what you see on my channel a lot, is honestly, I put the camera right here with my little mount, and having the camera facing down a little bit. As you can see, it's like almost like 90 degrees to the base, right? Is actually a good thing, because even the normal lens on a GoPro, which you can see here on camera, is kind of wide angle. So you're only seeing, you know, from here and then the hood and then like a lot. There's my hand in front of it. But yeah, it's just, there's a big field of view. So having the camera angled down a little bit is not a bad thing. A lot of times I run them there because I'm nervous about these things sticking. But I just saw a post last night. A guy ran one of these mounts at 170 mile an hour on a Viper, and it stayed just fine. So maybe I shouldn't be so worried about it. Another good place for the camera is right here. But if you're doing that, remember, you kind of want to angle it down, and I'm going to show it on this camera here. Some people like to run it over here for kind of a little bit of like, this is the roof view of what the driver would see. Another thing that I do sometimes, and I don't really do this with the shaker cars as much. It wouldn't be a horrible thing though, but it is to run it right here on the back of the hood behind the shaker. Not a bad spot, as you can see. A good place is right down here on the front of the hood, and in this case, you want to like angle the camera up a bit. You're not going to see the car anymore. You're just going to see out in front. But if you're going to run it down here, a really good place is go ahead and get this camera angled back a bit. A good place is right down here on the front of the car. Now, I will be going out and doing some driving with the camera mounted down low in a little bit to show how the different lenses that I have impact the perceived speed of the footage. Now, that's not all you can do. There's other things you can do too. You can get a little creative with it, okay? So I'm actually gonna get my other suction cup mount. So there's things you can do here that are really fun. So let's say, right here. Now this with this mount, it could be a little tough. You gotta mash it on a little bit. It's working. As long as that red's not showing, then we're good to go. So you can mount the cameras down here like this and get a view of the wheel. One thing you want to do if you do the wheel view, and I'm going to put this camera on here, and then we'll go ahead and swap over to this camera so you guys can see. You want to really be kind of looking at the wheel like this. So we'll be able to obviously see in front of the car a bit, but you want to see what the wheel is doing, right? And so on this one, you can see it's really just kind of looking at the wheel. Get my preview back up here. But yeah, you can see in front of the car ways, but you'll be able to see the wheel turn and move up and down. So that's a really cool view. Let's move this to a different spot. Another good one. This is a really good one, and this is kind of weird. And you maybe wouldn't want this as your main camera angle, but a secondary camera angle if you have multiple cameras. It's kind of right here, and I'll show you on the camera. So maybe you want to see down the car a ways like this. This isn't horrible if you get the camera further down on the car. I think, okay, yeah. Like, you kind of see how I'm mounting it, but you need to be able to get away from the car a little bit to be able to look back at the car, right? This is a really good view. Obviously, here in the garage, it's not as good. But let's move inside the car and show you guys what I do in there. Okay, here we are inside of a Bullet. Sometimes I forget how high up these factory seats sit. I'm about that far from the roof. One of my favorites is to take and mount the camera over here, right? Let's see if I can actually get it mounted and get this arm tightened up. Okay, probably going to be a little bit dark on the GoPro one, but you can see my arms moving. I reach down to shift. Now I can actually take the camera and angle it down. I think you should be able to see the shifter there. I'm not sure. Anyway, you can see the shift happen and everything. You can see me driving. You can see me looking at the camera and talking. Now, one thing to note is it's interesting, okay? Because when I'm looking at this camera here, it looks like it's looking like here at the door. Like you sometimes forget how wide of an angle these GoPros have. And so even here, you should still be able to see me perfectly fine on the GoPro. But it looks like it's looking over here. It looks like it wouldn't be able to see me. But you know, I'm in the shot and it works out really well. Let's look at another camera angle. So I'm gonna pop this guy off. And I'm actually gonna put it right here in the middle of the windshield. Get it suction cupped up there. And then I'm gonna take and I'm going to pull it back as much as possible. So very close to the dash and just looking straight back in the car, okay? So right now it's just looking straight back in the car. I'm gonna flip over here, you can see it. And you can see the passenger seat too. You can see me and you can see the passenger seat. So what this does, I have a very good field of view. I have a little bit of the camera right here, right under the mirror, right? But it's not really in the way for seeing stuff. I can see around it just fine. You know, sitting here just looking, when I look over, I can see almost the whole, I can see basically the whole hood, almost just a little corner of it up here in the front right. So I still have a really good field of view. But what you can see here on the camera is, this is a good view for like just talking to the camera. I'm driving down the road, just, hey guys, this car's this and that, and this is suspension setup and these wheels and that. But I can also have a passenger, and that's really cool. So this is a good shot for if you have a passenger in the car and you're wanting to talk about let's say you've both just drove that car and reviewed it. Now you can have your passenger sitting here. You can be straight driving down kind of a straight road, and you can be talking about the car that you're reviewing. I think that's really cool. Okay, now let's move on to some different stuff. For this camera angle, I need this passenger side window up. So let me do that real quick. This is a fun camera angle and one I like to do, but I don't do it as much as I used to, but I do think it's really fun. So I'm gonna have to put my back to you here just for a second. And you kind of have to judge it, but on this car, I can go about mid window here. And I'll show you guys in just a second when I can get out of the way. So you can see it's about middle of the window on this car because the doors are really long. And then what I do is, I'm going to actually try to do it from this side so you guys can see what the heck I'm doing. I take my camera and I just move it kind of in line with the door and straight up and down. There it is. Okay, so angle it back just a bit. All right, and now go ahead and switch over and show this inside view right now. So as you can see, this is not exactly perfect, but it's pretty similar to a passenger POV. So if you're sitting in the car as my passenger, this is what you would see. Hello. And obviously, it might not be perfectly straight right now. You want to get it nice and straight. Sometimes I'll actually maybe move the camera over further, extend the arm out. Depends on the vehicle, right? But you can get it to where it was really, really close to a passenger POV. So one other thing you can do is the same setup, but instead of having the camera like kind of up high, you can kind of have it, let's say, more forward and down lower on your window, right? And kind of sticking over in front of the driver down here. You don't want it in front of your face, but the camera down here to see your gauges and stuff a little bit more. You can also use different mounts for that. I haven't personally run that one because in these Mustangs, the window is a little bit too far away. But in other cars, I've seen it actually work well with this same camera mount that I'm running in Corvettes. All right, so let's pop this off a how, and let's look at another fun camera angle. So what we do is we mount our camera right in the middle of the back window, and then we take our mount and we make it face forward. You guys can see a lot of the interior of the car and not much outside. Now this one's a little bit dark right now because inside the car is kind of dark, but this is a really cool shot. This is a shot that they used to have to take the back window out of cars for. You actually see this shot some in Smokey and the Bandit in a lot of car movies, but it's a really good one. You know, you can see all the shifts happening. You can see the steering happening, right? It's a good shot. You can see everything, but it's more interior of the car. And so this one is good to show driving and speed, but a lot of the work that the driver's doing to make stuff happen. So that's what this shot's about. And it's a good one. I'm showing you guys kind of one camera for all this. What you can do here though is multiple cameras. So it is difficult to line up multiple runs through a road, right? But what you can do is, and I've done this before. I make a pass down a road at not a crazy speed, not pushing it super hard, and then move my camera, go back up the road, right? Move my cameras to different spots, and then make another pass down the road. So they're not going to be lined up perfectly, right? Based on like an audio or, you know, the clap thing, or, you know, you see in movies, you see that white and black board and they click it and stuff like that. And that's so they can line up audio and visual together. You're not going to have, when you go back and you make another pass, they're not going to be lined up. So what you have to do at that point is go in and cut and look for things like, okay, I'm coming up to this corner. Where's that corner? Cut that little section out. And it really blends in seamless and it's close enough and no one's really going to know. But when you get into editing things, that can be a little more difficult. And so I'm going to put that at like kind of next level, whereas not next level like, oh, that's next level, but like a little bit higher level, a little bit more confidence in what you're doing. Most runs I do, and when I say most people, because like most people starting out at this, because this is kind of what this is. This is a little bit into it, not fully starting out, but you can take some of my ideas and use them or not use them or whatever. But it's really fun to have multiple cameras on the car. A lot of times I run 2 cameras, and pretty soon, hopefully, I'm going to get a third camera, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. And my third camera is a really small one, and I can actually mount it to a hat. It won't be in my field of view, and I'll be able to have driver POV. And then it's also able to go mount over on the windshield, so that camera will function as 2 different cameras in the car, right? And basically it'll be, I will be giving up seeing me driving to see what I'm seeing through a cornery section. And so basically it'll be like, I'm talking to the camera, we get to the cornery section, I reach over, put that on the hat clip, or actually be hanging under, but you know, clip it to the hat clip, get through the cornery section, then put it back on the mount. That's the plan. I might end up having to run 2 interior cameras and 2, well, I mean, honestly, I would like pie in the sky. I would really like, you know, if everything was great, I would run 3 or 4 cameras on the outside and 2 or 3 inside, and then just clip together all the little bits that I want it to be and have a bunch of angles. But, you know, if you're talking, let's say about $300 a camera, that's $2,100 in cameras, plus another few $100s in mounts. That's a serious setup, and I don't have that serious of a setup yet. Now, one reason you would want to run multiple cameras, as I was talking about, is because of stuff like I'm doing here. So I'm talking to this camera, I'm talking to this camera, I'm talking to this camera again. You can swap back and forth, and that those jumps, those cuts back and forth to different cameras, it's more visually interesting. It makes your brain more interested in what you're watching versus just a single camera and it stays on that thing the whole time. So one thing you can do in editing software, and something I've been doing recently, is when I'm talking to a camera for a long time, I'll put random cuts in that film and then I'll zoom in and zoom back out. So I'll be talking for a bit and then it goes to here and I'm talking for a bit and I'm talking about different things. And then it goes back to here and I'm talking for a bit. And maybe it's a little bit more zoom in and out than that, but that's something that you can do to create a bit of, it just makes the film more interesting to watch. it makes it more engaging and more entertaining if there's movement and things happening. I think this section here is about done. There are other places you can put the camera. If you think of something cool, you can do it. Or so let's look back here. You know, some people run the big 3 suction cup mounts on the trunk that stick way up, and they have like the 360 cam way up high, and then they can just look forward or backwards or whatever. That's a cool thing. Maybe I would like to get into that at some point, but it does seem a little ostentatious and a little over the top, and it seems like it would draw attention from cops. So I haven't done that. Hey guys, we are in the Blue Mock, just about to go out. First, we're going to show off the normal lens, and then we're going to show the wide angle lens, and then the anamorphic lens, and then at the last, we're going to set it up for when the ND filters in the motion blur. The viewing angle on the motion blur is the same as the standard GoPro lens, so it's just their normal wide views, not the super wide or anything like that. But it's still a pretty good angle, and there's 2 things you want to do for that sense of speed in your videos, and one of them is motion blur, and the second one is the widest angle possible. But if you can combine both of those, it really gets a good sense of motion blur. So I'm expecting the last one to be the best in terms of sense of speed. However, we have different looks with other lenses, so this will be interesting to see, and this is me learning how to do this stuff too, because I haven't used the anamorphic lens or the ND filters, the actual ND filters. I've had some ND film that I've put between the inner and outer lens before, so I've done some of that, but I've never used an actual ND filter. So this is experimentation for me too, so teaching you guys and I'm learning at the same time.
Okay, if you watched that footage and what you saw was the wide angle is cool, but that ND filter with the motion blur and the road kind of blurring by at the bottom of the screen, if you looked at that and thought, that looks pretty fast, I did too. Problem is, where are my ND filters? Here's my ND filters, okay? Here's like one of them. That is the same kind of lens. I have a standard lens right here. Sorry, my desk is a little bit messy. You guys can't see it, but the desk is messy. Here's a standard GoPro lens. Here's one of the ND filters. As you can see, they do about the same thing, except for the ND filters make stuff darker. They don't do things like the wide angle lens, which gives you a wider field of view. we got to mix those. We have to mix those together. I also don't know if you noticed or not, but I sunk a little bit. I'm going to pop the chair back up to where it's supposed to be. This chair is not quite designed for my weight, and I'm already sinking again. So I'm just going to have to get used to being a low rider. So I got, this is called ND gel. It's essentially an ND filter film. Where can I open it up at? Right there. There, you can see through it. It's dark. I got 1, 2, and 3 stop film, and then I proceeded to cut out little circles to go behind. I'm looking all over. I've got cameras and lenses and stuff just spread all over my desk to go behind the anamorphic lens. So the 21:9 aspect ratio with the black bars at top and bottom with little filters in here. Now the problem I ran into, and I'll show you guys one of the things I cut. There, you can see the little circle I cut out of it. Actually, this one's darker. This one will show up better on camera. There, you can see the little circle I cut, right? And it actually got smaller than that. There's little pieces here. Used a tiny little pair of scissors that's on this to cut it out. One problem I ran into is this stuff gets fingerprint smudges on it real bad. So I was actually using this little Swiss Army knife because, one, it's got the scissors too. I've sunk down again. One, it's got the little scissors that made the little cuts easy, and then two, it's got a little pair of tweezers that I was able to hold on to the little circle I made and then wipe it off with a microfiber to get the smudges off of it. Don't know if you guys will be able to see, but no, you guys can't. Well, kind of maybe. You can see right in the center of that lens, there's a thing that looks a little weird, and it's actually that filter paper. So then I've mounted this to the car in 4 or 5 different locations, and I've gone driving around the neighborhood, max speed about 30, and just so we can kind of compare it to the previous footage. You guys can go back and forth and whatever, but we can compare it and see what it looks like. The anamorphic lens plus the ND filters should give us our best sense of speed. What you want is that, like I said earlier, the widest angle possible and motion blur, like your real life motion blur. So this should look awesome. It might be a little smudgy, and I've already got a solution for that coming. So the hole on the back of the lens that you actually want to set your little ND filter sheet into is a little over 7/10 of an inch. And so I ordered a 3/4 inch hole punch. It's like a craft hole punch, and it might be slightly too big. If it is, I'll see if I can find one. If I can find one that was like 0.7, it would be perfect. But it should work. And so I can hole punch out from these sheets, and then put them in the back of here. So what I did on this one, I did a 3-stop and a 1-stop. Now you can look this stuff up. I actually might have a chart that I can show you guys. I do have a chart. Let me make this smaller and then pop this up and move it to this screen so you guys can see it. Get myself out of the way. So a little chart here. This is the ND number and the amount of light. I put stoppos. The amount of stops it creates. I have some ND3, ND6, and ND9 rolls, but they are essentially 1, 2, and 3 stop. So then I've kind of compared them to the ND4, 8, 16, and 32 filters from GoPro. What you can do here is when you're doing stops, you can add them up, right? So if I add a 1 stop and a 3 stop, it gives me a 4 stop. And that's actually what I've done in here. I've added a 1 stop from my filter sheet, and you saw the 2 little things I cut circles out of. So I've got 2 little circles of the filter sheet in here to give me a 4 stop, roughly ND16 filter. This is getting way off in the weeds if you just want to throw a camera on your car and go, but you want that sense of speed, and that's what this is about. It's about good places to put the camera, sense of speed, and to make it look fun, right? So I'm having to get into this stuff a little bit, but this ND filter stuff was like $15 for 6 rolls of it. But the little hole punch will be $10. I'll be $25 in. I can cut a bunch of these things out. A little bit of time will go into it to make it look, 50 times, like $20 and 20 bucks in an hour of time will make all my videos look 50 times better. That's worth it. If you're really trying to make good, fun videos, that is worth it. So I think this is a good step. You know, GoPro doesn't offer their wide angle or their anamorphic with ND filters on them. If they did, that'd be awesome. Or if there was a secondary piece you could put on between that you could change out filters. I know that might be too much. But this is really cool. This will be awesome once I get that hole punch and I can make little better circles that don't have finger smudges on them. Wear some gloves, use my tweezers, put them in the camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch out a ton of each, and I'll have them in a baggie, or little baggies that are marked in my camera bag. So little like snack, resealable snack baggies inside my camera bag. I'll have a bunch of my ND3, 6, and 9s, and then some tweezers in there, maybe 2 or 3 pair of tweezers in case I lose one or whatever. But yeah, that's the plan here. So when I'm out and it's really super bright and sunny, and I'm like, oh man, I really need like an ND32 today because it's super sunny and bright, then I can be like, okay, so ND32 is what, 5 stops, and I've got this little thing saved on my phone. So 5 stops, so I'm going to mix a 3 stop and a 2 stop, so that's my ND9 and ND6 filter paper, right? And so I'll open up those baggies, mix those together, put them in there, and if it's still a little bit too bright, I'll take the one of the lightest ones, sandwich it in there as well, and that will work. As long as they're not smudgy, as long as they stay clean, it won't impact the image. So what you see in this next little set of footage was recorded at 4K. It might be a little hazy, a little smudgy. I really tried to get all the fingerprints off. Learning, experimenting, doing all this for the first time. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to show you, I think, 4 different camera angles, and then we'll come back and finish off the video. Okay, I have some thoughts about that. That was actually pretty cool. There was a little bit of smudginess in the film. However, it still looked pretty good. So, behind the shaker didn't really help that much. And honestly, I think maybe the wide angle lens would be better in that situation, or maybe just a normal GoPro lens. But yeah, sitting on the back of the hood, that didn't help us much. Bumper of the car. Guys, that footage was awesome. The road coming by underneath with the blur, the trees blurring at the sides, that was great. I was going 30, it looked like I was going 60. That's what we want. That was amazing. Roof. The anamorphic lens on the roof was not the best idea. So I think I'm going to write some notes. Wide angle lens on the roof. That's where I'm going to be for that. With the anamorphic lens, there's some compression in the middle, and it kind of, there's some stretch to the image. It's not as bad with the wide angle because it gives you higher as well, and it's more of a fisheye thing, so it's stretched in kind of all ways instead of just at the sides. Watching the roof footage almost made me a little bit nauseous, so I don't like that. Again, we're learning in real time here. I've just got some of these things, so I'm experimenting with them. However, I know that you maybe can use what I'm learning here to buy certain things and not buy certain things. However, let's get to the last one there with the camera on that quarter window, kind of looking up the side of the car on the side. That was awesome. We had some road coming by underneath, which created some motion blur at the bottom, some motion blur on the side. That made it look fast. So anamorphic lens on that front bumper and on the side of the car, basically anywhere where you can see road hitting the bottom of the screen, it's going to create that really good blur effect right there at that edge. That's what we want. That was really good. And so, what I'm thinking here is, I really want another camera is what I'm thinking. But, I really think we can, I can make some good videos. You can make some, but I'm not saying we, I'm talking not just me, but like me and you. I think we can all make really good videos using some of this stuff here. But the ND filters, that's where it's at to get that motion blur. That super, super helps with speed. This is really what we want in this video. Now, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the sky was a little bit pale in that footage. And so maybe my ND filter would actually need to be a touch darker, which I can do. Like I said, I'm going to have a bunch of those little circles cut out with that hole punch whenever it comes in. It's still supposed to be a few days, but I can punch out a bunch of circles, and then I can just stack it up. And then using the GoPro app on my phone up here, using the GoPro app, I can turn on the preview, and then just kind of stack them, get it right, and then turn off the preview and turn off my screens and everything, because that uses a lot of battery. And then yeah, the footage will look really good. So instead of it being kind of setting up here at the house, which is what I've previously done, I'm going to have to actually get out there and adjust things for the light conditions in the day in that situation, which is more professional style, more real photography and, videography or whatever. So I get that. That's what I'm going to have to do. That's fine to get the good footage. It is worth that little bit of extra time. That's one thing that when I think about when I go out for a drive, I'm always thinking about how long does it take me to get to where I want to go, set up the cameras, make the run back and forth, how many times I want to do it, get my cameras back in the bag, get everything put up, get back home. I'm always thinking about that because I like spending time with my son, and he's homeschooled. It's nice being here. So that's one thing in my kind of mind scheduling that I do. I'm going to have to allot for an extra, and it sounds small. It sounds really small, but an extra 10-15 minutes to get everything set up for the conditions of the day. But for me, that's tough. When I go on drives, I need to be going. I need to be going. We're driving. I mean, I will get in the car and I will make 6-7 hours, no problem, of just driving all over the place, barely stopped any. I stop somewhere, hop out of the car, bam, 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 camera's back in the car, I'm gone as quick as I can. That's kind of how I've always done things. And so stopping to be like, okay, what's the light conditions? Think about if I'm going to be in a bunch of shadows from trees going up, this road, or if the way the road's angled and the light's coming in, is it going to be more bright? Am I going to be going away from the sunlight or towards the sunlight? Because that'll be different filters I need to run. If I'm going towards the sunlight, I need to be a little bit darker. Yeah, it's all super fun, and I enjoy thinking about it, but I'm going to have to slow myself down a little bit to actually be like, okay, let's get this right. I'm 3 hours from the house. I'm on this road. I only get a couple passes. Let's do this absolutely right. Get the footage perfect. Then we can get back home and make it into something fun for everyone else to watch. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe if you did. Check out the merch store. Link is in my bio and in the video description. There's going to be another video. Hey, dog. There's going to be another video coming out to go along with this. It's not a fun one. Literally sitting at my table, opening my camera bag, going through everything that I have and showing all the equipment. That needs to be said with this, but it doesn't really need to be part of the same video, because no one wants to watch 20 minutes of a guy going, this is this thing, and this is this, and this does this. It's a little on the boring side. It was something that I would personally watch if I was going down this route of these cameras and needing to figure out what to buy. I would totally watch the video because it's a lot of good information, but it's not as fun as this video I've made here, which this video is not as fun as going out and making a driving video, but we have to learn these things so we can then utilize them to make the rest of the videos better. And we might as well document this learning process for each other on YouTube so we can all learn together and make good stuff. I'll see you in the next one, guys.